If I told you that the top 4 of Red Bull Homeground was going to be NRG, Fnatic, G2, you'd probably go, yeah, that makes sense. But if I told you that the 4th team was Zeta Division, you'd probably be like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Good for Zeta Division. But then if I told you that Zeta Division got there by destroying G2 and Fnatic, you'd probably be like, what the hell is going on? And that is the important thing to note here, is that Zeta Division did absolutely destroy G2 and Fnatic, as we'll get into in a second, but it's not like those teams, weren't trying or aren't very good now all of a sudden. They managed to get all the way to here, and finish in the top 4 still. So those teams are still perfectly good teams, as you may expect, but Zeta Division, playing with 3 stand-ins / subs, people who aren't actually officially on the team yet, absolutely destroyed them. So let's take a look at the Fnatic game here, and unfortunately the VOD that we're going to use is actually my stream. Now I'm just gonna word of warning for you, that means that there is no casters on this when you're watching the clips, and also I am still ill and was very ill last night, so it is gonna, continuing with the Joe Biden theme, it is gonna be a little bit, low energy, perhaps, because I wasn't feeling great. But let's dive into it. Let's start with the first round here, where we're gonna see straight off the bat, I think, just a good example from Zeta Division of how they were playing, essentially. So Fnatic, they've gone with a 4-stack over towards A. One little note for them is I think that when you're having a 4-stack here on a pistol round, or a 4-stack in general, this TP needs to not catch this wall and probably needs to be done from heaven, so it actually gets across here to B. That's one little note for them. But Zeta Division, I also like on a pistol round doing this kind of wall that's a bit different, right? Because it makes them feel like, oh, you've done a different wall. You're going to have some plan, for this wall. It's not just the default one, but actually you're just going to B. But Fnatic, they come up with a nice little play here, which is as Zeta Division, kind of gear up to come and do this kind of B split, as you see there, and the dog comes in, you're now going to get the nade coming across here from Alpha, and it's actually going to put Eco in a bit of a bad spot, right? You look right here, nade coming, the nade is actually going to hit him, and he's in a bad spot, right? But this is part 1 that you're going to see right now of just, they were fine, they looked like better players than both G2 and Fnatic. It looked like Zeta Division had legit better players, as you will now see. That nade actually hit his leg. But it's good damage. Wow, good awareness. Holy sugar hero. Holy sugar hero indeed, because when you take a look again at what goes on here, as I said, Eco's in a bad spot here. He's got 2 people TPing on him and a nade at his feet. The fact that he manages to get a kill and deals 90 damage to Kayak, right? Kayak's down to 10 HP. That's an unbelievable job. And then, I mean, here they must think, XDLL must think that he has a free kill. Right, and I think Boaster does a good job here as well of kind of recognizing to come with the team, right? Ignore the guys who are going to the site, come with the team, flush out anything that's back here, and then kind of, deal with the rest of it. But they do a good job here as well, right? Good awareness there from Fnatic. They get that kill, and at this point, they're in a very good spot in the round, right? And it feels like, okay, we're in a good spot. And again, they make a decision to come together and play together, which again, I think is the right choice from Fnatic. But they just run into an absolute monster in Sugar Zero. An absolute monster. The fact that he gets all 3 there is unbelievable. And then obviously they clean it up. And this was the story of these games. It genuinely looked like Zeta Division have the better players. Okay, now let's skip ahead to round number 3, the bonus round, of course, for Zeta Division. And I really like what they do in this round as well, right? So just watch what they do here, because they're going to create a lot of pressure over towards B here, right? They're going to make this look like and feel like a B hit. Smoke down on B long, one of our Brim smokes coming in. We're going to dog in here towards Hooker, right? So we're going to take Hooker with the dog. We're putting a smoke down B long. Our Raze is now going to come into Hooker just here, start shooting some bullets. He's going to throw a nade as well. We're then going to throw a Sky Flash out here in a second also, right? So this feels, all of this feels like, smoke here, could be walking up. They've already taken Hooker. Could be about to do an exec. This is going to keep this Yoru here. There's a lot of pressure coming up here, but as we can see, there's 3 people actually walking the other way. And if you take a look at what happens, they're going to catch Fnatic here getting a little bit greedy, right? They're going to get a little bit greedy, start looking for some information, and die, right? Now, my internet actually cut out at this point, and so that's why we've skipped ahead to 1.08 as Zeta Division are getting the spike down. Don't worry, you didn't miss anything. Just Fnatic rotating, essentially. But we get another really good job there. You see the Brim Molly coming into Lamps to hold on to that space as well. Zeta Division playing a fairly passive postman overall, but they do a really good job here. Again, it's just like delaying the time enough to give them that advantage. Sugar Zero does a really good job on Alfia. I do want to note about the Fnatic retake here that if you take a look at it, normally I think when you're retaking this A site, there's like, you have choices in terms of like what direction you want to go in. And so we saw Crashies kind of come in here and then go out with the Brim Molly. Now Alfia is going to come here alone. Whichever way you want to go, right? If you want to attack the site first, if you want to attack Lamps first, just do it as a team. Here we get, you know, Fnatic not doing that, and Alfia basically just, you know, everyone just kind of running in on their own, kind of doing their own stuff. And Alfia, you know, tries to solo do this, ends up not going well for him, and that does matter in the end. And you see, eventually this round kind of looks completely over. Crashies and Boast to do a good job to make it at least competitive, but Sugar Zero, again, great little wrap around here. So again, his timing, I mean, we saw in the first round, he's playing unbelievable, right? But he gets that first kill. Now it's timing to wrap around the back as well and come and get this kill on Boaster, essentially wins them the round. It's just really well played, and now you'll see that he will play the timeout excellently and win the round for them. Zeta Division.
One enemy remaining. That makes 3. My ult is ready.
Goal.
Prepare for hellfire.
Now let's skip ahead to round number 7. It's 6-0 to Zeta Division, and Fnatic have 4 ults. This is a must-win round for Fnatic in this position. But you're going to see the start of this round from Zeta Division is, again, extremely nice. What on earth are they doing? And you get the reveal. Okay, he gets 2. Okay, so this round from Zeta Division, again, is extremely nice. And, again, I want you to keep in mind, they're playing against Fnatic, right? They're not playing against a bunch of chumps. Like, Fnatic handedly beat some of the other, you know, T1 and C9. They easily outclassed them, right? They weren't playing that bad. But Zeta, again, look at this idea. So they Skyflash Boombot into Shower, right? They create pressure in Shower early on whilst putting their Viper Orb up here on B long, right? And that makes these guys think, well, we're going to pinch here, right? We're going to come and, you know, do some sort of shower crunch on the guys who are coming into Shower. Right, but Zeta, they're like one step ahead, right? Because our Sky is already rotated, our Raze is about to get out of there, and these guys are walking up B long. And they put Fnatic in bad position. I mean, Crashies, this is a little bit mindless from Crashy because he doesn't control this orb, and it could go down at any point and just be a free kill, right? As he's staring towards a teleport, like he is just standing out in the open right now. So, you know, it was a little bit mindless perhaps from Fnatic and things to think about for them. But you see, like, that Prowler goes in, Kayak's ready to TP, but the Prowler on the other side of the map doesn't catch anyone, right? Doesn't see anyone. And look, they're so aware. They've heard this Prowler go through this way, and they know. They know that that must mean this, right? Again, this guy's not even officially on the team, but he knows. Like, even before the Viper Orb drops, he's throwing out his saturate, right? He knows what the setup is. He knows what, you know, Fnatic are about to do. Catches Kayak off completely, and now these guys are in a panic, right? It's like, oh, we got them, right? Waylay dash up top as someone else swings. At best, Crashies gets 1 there, right? This guy's gonna kill him, and then has the forethought to just run in with his knife because he can TP back. And Vekash does a good job here of getting 2 kills, right? But when you look at that, he's most of the time probably only getting 1, right? And happens to get 2. But then even if we go further on in the round, right? They now pause. So they now just chill, right, and wait, and Fnatic eventually have to split up. They see that the Boombot is here. Fnatic eventually do get back over towards A, but now they're going to be able to convert the round as well. As Boaster, unfortunately, gets a phantom moment and hits a 140 there, but, you know, from this point on, the round is essentially over. But you see how nice that is from Zeta Division. That's really, really high-level plan and high-level execution of said plan as well. And this is what I mean. 13-1 against Fnatic. This was not a fluke. It looked like a 13-1 game. Now let's come ahead to round number 10, which, as I'm about to explain at the start of this clip, Zeta Division decided to play on hard mode unnecessarily because apparently Fnatic weren't a big enough challenge in and of themselves. Thing is, somehow they're on an eco. I mean, you can buy. How are we on an eco? We can buy an extra gun. Maybe they just wanted the challenge?
Spike planted.
What is that Viper's Pit? Holy fuck, they're gonna win anyway.
One enemy remaining. Last player standing.
Oh, you can't whiff. Oh, never mind, we didn't. But yeah, clearly they did just want the extra challenge. Fnatic weren't proving difficult enough because they could have bought in this round if they wanted to, but chose not to anyway, which I do find quite funny. But again, the plan is there, right? They have a plan. A perfect plan, in a way, because what you want on eco rounds is to create chaos. And this, the way that they play this, creates a lot of chaos, right? So it's smoke in here early so we can come and take this, right? Step one, go and take hooker. We put one smoke down there. We're then going to go for double layered smokes here to cut off long. We're not going to deal with long. We're on an eco. We want short range fights. So we're not even going to bother with long, right? And we're going to put our Viper orb here, right? So we've still got smokes. We've got smokes where we need them, but we're just going to do it in a bit of a different way, create some chaos kind of way. And now we're going to dive into the side, right? So it's a flash, in going with the waylay, in going with the raise. Now the raise satchels here, you know, maybe don't fully work as intended. You know, Absol goes quite high there and eventually gets picked off. But now you've got this, right? Again, just take a look at this. What I mean about creating chaos, right? I mean, everyone is just running off in different directions, right? Sky's running this way, Viper's running this way, Whaley's running this way. Honestly, maybe isn't the way that exactly you would want to draw that up. I think particularly you'd probably want the Whaley coming this way. But it creates enough chaos to where they just start winning their fights, right? XCLL wins his. Honey Bunny beats Boaster there. They end up in a 3v3. Now they come for this unusual place to Viper's Pit from, right? You don't often get Viper's Pits from back here, but it manages to work for them, right? They get the Sky Heal going on as well. This is a really good Brim Molly from Sugar Zero again, right? To stop those guys floating into the pit. Gives his time for his Viper to come back. XTLL manages to kill Kayak, and at this point, obviously, they're in a very rough spot. So again, just like in terms, they didn't need to eco. So that it's one thing for Zeta to potentially realize is they didn't need to eco that round. But in terms of coming up with, again, in terms of the plan of how to play that round, amazing. And it worked for them again. And now quickly, let's finish here with round number 11. And again, I just want to point out, this is a team that, you know, 3 of their players aren't officially on the team. I mean, they better be after this performance because they're playing some unreal Valorant, right? And in this round, what we need to keep our eye on is the Viper here. Right, because again, we're going to pressure out towards B, and in this round, I mean, again, this doesn't seem to happen to Fnatic in particular that often, right? But our Viper is going to find kind of a perfect timing here to do this, right? He does actually make a noise, but finds a perfect timing to look at this. Kayak's looking at the wall, like absolutely perfectly timings them, but he does that at a good time, right? Like when the Seekers are starting to come out, when there is pressure coming over here, you know, when they're putting smokes down on B. So he is thinking that perhaps more Fnatic players will be there than there actually are. You actually see there's 3 Fnatic players here, and then they TP, right? And so when they TP, you know, Fnatic probably think, well, we're in a great spot here. But my Viper, Honey Bunny, Honey, is all the way down there and kills Boaster for free. Right, and then take a look at this swing, right? So our Waylay is just dashed in here to the boxes. Take a look at this swing, right? So Vekash here. These two, I mean, swing from here and here. How often do you see that perfectly timed to kill this guy? Not very often. But that's how the game was going for them. Just everything felt kind of perfect. And Kayak here is in a very odd position, right? Because he's worried about pressure from here. He's worried maybe that the Viper is coming this way. Obviously, he's worried about the rest of the team coming here, but he also can't TP because the Viper's already killed Boaster here. You take a look at the swing. How is the swing? How do we deal with this guy? Right? My raise is in the sky as someone else is swinging with him. Everything is amazing. Just everything. Now 4v2. Alpha tries to flood through. Good luck. Crashies goes and saves. When I say that, like, the G2 game was much like this as well. G2 didn't play great, to be honest, if I'm being real with you. But Zeta destroyed them, rightfully so. Most of the rounds, the G2 game could have been a 13-1 as well, had G2 not pulled some clutches off. Like, genuinely, Zeta absolutely destroyed arguably 2 of the best teams in the world.